next, we're going to go over probably the NFL's best team that can't get over the hump, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. Last season, they went 13-4, 6-3 at home, and a great record on the road, 7-1. Then in the playoffs, they had a 34-10 win over the Texans, smashed them, and then a 17-10 loss to the Chiefs. The infamous Zay Flowers fumble, or otherwise we might be having a different conversation about this Ravens season, but ultimately they lost the game. Real quick, I want to mention two things and then you can say whatever you need to. John Harbaugh does not get the respect that he should, as great of a tenure that he has had as a head coach in the NFL. 172 and 109, 61% regular season win percentage, 12-10 in the postseason, 5 AFC North titles, 4 AFC championship appearances, and 1 Super Bowl victory. I mean, this guy is the real deal. And then obviously the guy who feels like he just doesn't get enough praise as he should because of how good he is. Lamar Jackson as a starter is 43-16. He wins 72% of his games. He's 4-2 in the postseason, 2 MVPs, all-time start to an NFL career. And I would absolutely love to see this guy get over the hump and win a Super Bowl. I absolutely love Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, just want to throw in there, they finished first, obviously, went 3-3 in the division. They beat some really good teams along the way, too, throughout this season. Texans twice, Bengals twice, smoked the Lions 38-6, beat the Rams, beat the Niners 33-19, and then beat the Dolphins 56-19, if you remember that game. They were pretty dominant throughout this season. But yeah, they are that team that just hasn't been able to get over the hump. And I would love to see Lamar win one as well.
He's like one of the coolest players that we've had in the NFL in a long time. He's just so good, and I want to see him be great, obviously. Departures, Mike McDonald, obviously we've talked about him a few times. He obviously has defense. He's probably one of the most respected play callers on the defensive side of the football in the NFL currently. Losing him is obviously a big deal. So they lose him. You lose Jadeveon Clowney. You lose Geno Stone. You lose Pat Queen. And then Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, and OBJ, which honestly, I think that those guys they don't really matter that much.
Did you mention Kevin Zeitler and Morgan Moses?
I did not.
2 offensive linemen that they lost. And the thing that sucks about you're a good team, you win 13 games. Odds are you're going to have a long list of departures. It's really tough to retain everybody. There's guys that when you're that good, you get guys paid. And that usually ends up with a long list of people leaving because of how good you were last year. Like Jadeveon Clowney, they lost him, and he kind of had like a small resurgence year last year, and now he's moved on. So OBJ too, like OBJ literally shouldn't even be in the NFL anymore, and he got paid by the Dolphins.
I don't know if it's more about them getting guys paid. I think every single guy that they've lost on any at any position, I think that they've done a good job of replacing them. Whether that be younger guys, people that they already had on their roster. Like somebody that I think about right away is like they lost Pat Queen, but they have Trenton Simpson from Clemson, who they obviously think is going to step into a similar role as him. So I don't really see like Clowney. Obviously, you lost Clowney. You draft Adisa Isaac, and then you've heard like really great things all camp about Adafe Owe. So you have like younger guys like on the roster that I think that they were fine. I don't think there was any qualms about these guys not being on the team this upcoming season.
No, and I think they did a decent job filling in those gaps, but usually how it goes is when you're that good of a team, you see a lot of guys leave. So
for sure.
I mean, that's kind of what happened with the Eagles. We saw a decent amount of guys on the Niners leave. I'm talking about Eagles 2 years ago. We saw a good amount of guys on the Niners leave. That's usually how it goes. But yeah, I think they were efficient in the decisions that they made with drafting and signing free agents. So
yeah, and let's talk about their arrivals because it's special. Zach Orr is the new DC. I think he'll do a really good job. Nate Wiggins, a 6'2" long corner who's fast as hell. They draft him. I didn't love him, but I think I love him going into the situation in Baltimore. I just think it's the best place for him to land. They also drafted TJ Tampa, who I was a really big fan out of Iowa State. I think he's really good. They drafted Adisa Isaac, who I know that he's kind of stuffed down in the depth chart currently, but I actually think he's going to be a really good player. He's a dog. Um, and then you draft Tez Walker from UNC. Again, deep threat. Don't really love him, but it is what it is. I don't know how much he'll actually play. And then you sign Russell Gage, who is a decent slot receiver. We haven't really seen him play in a few years, but I think that he could make some sort of impact on the offensive side of the ball. And then obviously the biggest, I think probably one of the most under discussed signings this entire offseason was the Ravens getting Derrick Henry, who has shown absolutely no signs of slowing down, and adding him to a backfield with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, I think is one of the best situations he's been in his entire career.
Yeah, adding Derrick Henry to an already very good run offense is like a match made in heaven.
Seriously.
I do think Derrick Henry has declined a little bit, but not enough to make me like not want him on my team.
Um, I didn't he like lead the league in like rush attempts last year?
I don't know that.
Yeah, he
I
did.
do have here that his explosive run rate was at a career low last year at 8.2%.
Yeah, and I think that I think a lot that of that has to do with the we've talked about it in the
Offense.
Titans episode. The Titans offensive line is so bad. I don't think that they were doing
Yeah.
him legitimately any favors.
I think I have similar concerns for this Ravens offensive line.
Do you
I don't think they're going to
respect
be as bad as the Titans O line, but I think the main concern probably on this Ravens offense is going to be this offensive line.
Yeah, I guess I just disagree with you. I think that the Ravens are probably respected enough from a scheme perspective to be able to scheme around any problems that they have on the offensive line currently. And I still think that they have good enough pieces where they're not a complete wreck. You still have Tyler Lindenbaum. You still have Stanley, even though he really never plays. He hasn't played the last like 2 seasons like consistently, and they still have been able to put out a good enough O line to make them one of the best rushing off attacks in the NFL. So I think that their scheme that they have on from an offensive perspective, I don't know how much it matters for them for their O line as much as it would for other teams.
Yeah, that's fair. They have a great scheme on the offensive side of the ball, but if we're being extremely nitpicky, I think that that's just one thing that I'm concerned about. But if you have Lamar Jackson back there, that will normally lessen the amount of concern for anything offensive related.
It also feels like they have an elite player at damn near every single level of this team. You have Kyle Hamilton, you have Marlon Humphrey, you have Matabike, you have Roquan Smith, you have Mark Andrews, you have Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. This is an absolutely loaded, stacked roster. They have guys everywhere.
Yeah, the only place they don't have someone elite is at the wide receiver position. But I mean, I love Zay Flowers. I know you do too. Lamar Jackson certainly had worse options at the wide receiver than he does this year. Um, I would just love to see Mark Andrews stay healthy. And then it's so weird because they have Isaiah Likely just chilling back there. And I think he could be a legitimate matchup issue if they start to incorporate him into the offense more because he's so fast for a tight end. And if you can scheme up, like, if they're as good offensively as we think they are, I feel like they would be able to scheme up some situations for
They
Isaiah
just
Likely.
they just don't run 12 personnel. They are
They
dead
don't. They
last.
don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just don't. That's not what they like to run. But I, from like the receiving options, I don't actually hate what they have. I think Mark Andrews has clearly proved like over the years that he can
Yeah.
handle the load of being like a guy who can get targeted consistently. Um, and then obviously, I think Zay Flowers is going to have a big breakout season this upcoming year. I think he's legit. I know that he's small, but I watched Zay Flowers live before he got drafted when he literally practiced for one day at the East West Shrine game, and I, I literally was like dead shook. I think that he's Antonio Brown reincarnated. Um, and obviously, you have Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. I would love to see Isaiah Likely get incorporated more. He was great for them last year when Mark Andrews went down. Um, you hear a lot of the players upping Rashad Bateman as a guy who they think is going to have a breakout year. Same situation, though. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. He was a first
Yeah.
round wide receiver 2 years ago, taken, and he played for
Yeah.
Minnesota. And then you have Nelson Aguilar and then Russell Gage. Obviously, I don't hate that core of like guys that of pass catchers essentially.
No, I mean, I think Lamar Jackson is able to elevate these guys. And like I said before, he's played with much, much worse receiving cores than this.
Um, Again, weaknesses, we already talked about it. Oh, I said O-line feels like Monken can be able to scheme around this issue. That's what I had written down before we even talked about it. So I I personally am extremely excited to watch another year of Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson being in sync together and seeing what this offense could possibly do, because I think that they're going to take an I think that this offense does have another gear, especially adding somebody like Derrick Henry in this situation. Understand that he might be a little bit of a decline, but this is if you can't agree on the fact that he's way better than Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, I mean, that's like he's like head and shoulders better than those
Yeah.
guys. So I'm excited to watch that play out.
Yeah, no doubt that Derrick Henry is much better than those two guys. I'm also excited to see what new wrinkles Todd Monken brings to this offense. I think after a year, now people have film on kind of what he likes to do and how he likes to scheme this offense up. I think it'll be fun to see new ways for him to um, attack defenses going into this season.
Do you have anything else for me? I listen. This is an easy
I'm
episode
I, I'm
for me.
I'm not too picky about the Ravens. I mean, do I think they're going to have the same amount of wins as they did last year? I don't think so, but I still think this is going to be a legitimate team that can be a Super Bowl team.
I do. I think this is the best team in the NFL by far. It's like I said, Lamar wins when he's healthy. If Lamar is healthy and plays the full season, Lamar wins 72% of
Yeah,
his football games.
it's tough to
This
argue.
this is this is another mispriced by the book. Ravens Super Bowl future. I placed it today plus 1,000. Ravens to win the division plus 145. You actually get the Ravens at plus money to win their division, and then Ravens is the number 1 seed in the AFC plus 600. Again, the Chiefs are for some reason the first in the sports book for everything. I view the Chiefs as the same problems on offense as they had last year. I don't think that they got that much better. And then on defense, they lost a lot of guys that I thought were impact players to them last year. So I don't think that the Ravens lost anybody that impactful, and they are an elite regular season football team. And I think that they're going to go out and do the exact same thing that they do every year, and that's be elite in the regular season.
Do you think this defense takes any step back after losing the DC?
I think it can take a step back because they were the first defense in the NFL. They were literally one of the
Right,
best
right.
defenses in the NFL last season. They were like one, two, three, like however you want to rank
Yeah,
them. They were at least in the mention of the big three. So yeah, I do think that they
right.
could
But you're
probably
not expecting them to take a step out of like the top five.
no, I think that this is a
Okay.
top 10 defense, like undoubtedly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think they still have the personnel for that. Um, and
Plus,
I think it's just go ahead.
plus who they brought in, Zach Orr, is a Mike
Was
McDonald
already there.
product. He was
Yeah.
there. He watched it play out. I'm not sitting here thinking that he's like completely incompetent. I think that he's going to be able to come in, do a lot of the same things that they did last year, and maybe he's even able to throw in some of his own wrinkles and be successful as well. But yeah, I think that this defense is undoubtedly a top 10 defense just based off of who they have. I mean, like I said, bro, like the Kyle Hamilton, like you have Kyle Hamilton at safety, Marlon
Nasty.
Humphreys at corner. You have Roquan Smith in the middle, and then Matabike as your end. Like those are legitimately like top to 10 guys in the NFL at their position. Like they're elite.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this defense to me still has all of the talent needed to be extremely successful.
I actually am looking at their schedule right now, and I like it a lot more than what I thought I did at first. I think you're persuading me because their win total's listed at 11.5 right now. And I
They're
mean,
mispriced.
yeah,
The Ravens are mispriced in every category. I mean, it, like they should be I think they should be just as even as like the Chiefs. I do.
yeah,
I don't see why the Chiefs would be like plus 250 to have the number 1 seed. And if people bet that, like I think that's a bad bet. I think having the Ravens at plus 600 who always show up every single regular season. We just watched an entire year last year where the Chiefs just like decided not to play the regular season and just
yeah,
like
that
we're
was
skating
crazy.
by. The Ravens take pride in like the
They do.
preseason, obviously the regular season. And like I said, if Lamar Jackson is a
Is
fully
there? Yeah,
healthy guy for the entire year, there is absolutely no reason why that they don't finish at the top of their division and the top of the AFC with the best record.
yeah,
Proof is
yeah.
in the pudding.
I think you're right. I mean, I don't know if they went 13 because that is a lot. I mean, that one extra game when you're getting into 10 wins plus feels like 3 extra games. I don't know
Yeah.
why. But I actually look at this now, and like I said earlier, their wins total is 11.5, and the more I look at the schedule, the more I think they can get 12 wins.
Out of all the teams that we talked about, I told you I've pretty much been like, oh, like, no, it's hard to win 10 games. It's hard to win 11 games. This is the first team that we talked about where like I'm expecting them to win 12. Like that's just really what it comes down to. Like I think that they are the best team in the NFL. When the postseason comes around, sure, let's have some conversations about how
That's
teams
fair.
can play
Yeah.
against Lamar. But during the regular season, this team is absolutely the real deal. And like I said, I expect this team to win 12 games. Everybody else, I think that if you get to the 10, 11 game win mark, I think that that's an elite season for the
Yeah.
Ravens. Getting to 11 wins is what they should get that easy.
Yeah, they've been at 10-7 and 22 and 13-4 and 23. They were 8-9 and 21, but I think
Lamar
Lamar
was
got
hurt.
hurt that year. So,
Yes.
I mean, I don't really have much of a case against that just cuz I think it's my only case is like you said earlier, I think it's hard to win 11, 12 games, but as I continue like I said to look through the schedule, Lamar stays healthy. You added a immovable object in the backfield with Derrick Henry. I mean, I think you might have
Crazy.
just convinced me that.
Crazy.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry's never had a situation with this elite of a quarterback.
Bro, the fact that no one brings up the fact that bro, like Derrick Henry might have like 18 touchdowns this upcoming season. Like
That would be nasty.
he's just going to be good. I mean, there's so much upside for him in this offense and to play with Lamar Jackson. Like the Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh combo as of right now has done nothing but prove us that they are really elite when things are clicking and Lamar's healthy. And that's how they're going into this season. Lamar's fully healthy and they're ready to go. So I'm inclined to believe that they're going to have a big year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna cement it right here at 12-5.
Nice. I think that
I
they go
think
13.
you've convinced me.
I think that they go out and win 13 games again. So the Ravens, like I said, Ravens are the best team in the NFL. I don't think that there's much debate there. So
They're also just like the they did lose a lot of guys, but they're also just like quietly they have no like contract issues. Like they got Lamar already. They got the Lamar deal figured out. Like they don't have like kind of they don't have to worry about like the 49ers like the 49ers have to worry about like the IU situation. Oh, the 49ers just had to cancel joint practices because they're dealing with all these injuries. Like some of this like little small stuff that who knows, maybe it doesn't matter when the season starts, but like if you're the just to be able to have a training camp and you don't have to worry about little things like that, um I would imagine it probably makes a difference when you're going in there every day. Like, oh, is Trent Williams going to be out there practicing with us today or no? Like
Yeah.
things like
They
that.
haven't
I'm
had
sure it's meant to
any
add up.
Yeah, they haven't had any drama this offseason is how I would probably coin it, as a
Yeah.
lot of teams across the league have. So,
Yep.
yeah, I love
Yeah,
the
we've
Ravens.
seen Chiefs with their wide receiver issues,
Arrests, everything.
Eagles with coaching issues. The Ravens are just chugging along. So yeah, I mean, I'm right there. I think they're going to be really good this year again.
And the
I just
way
hope
that
that Lamar can get over the hump. And I mean, I'm just sick and tired of the Chiefs playing in the Super Bowl every year. I think it would be sick to see Lamar win one.
dude,
If the Eagles can't.
If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl again this year, I'll never watch football ever again.
Yeah, boycotting it.
Like, clip this. Like, I won't watch football because
we're transitioning this to a CFL podcast.
The UFL. Like, I'm not watching. I can't sit there and watch the Chiefs win another Super Bowl and Taylor Swift and like I don't like that. I don't want to watch that. It's not what I'm into. Like, I'm into I'm into watching football being played. I'm not into watching Travis Kelce get bought off by Big Pharma. I'm just done with it. So, all right. So Ravens, let's win a bowl this year.
White clouds blowing out when we max 4-5, not the size, but it kick up high line.